Okay, everybody, are you ready to have some fun? This is when we can get into some really, really cool effects. And so I'm excited to show you what you can find when we go to effects and we go into filter and EQ. So the first button on filter and EQ is the FFT filter. Let's take a listen to some of the cool stuff this can do. The presets. Let's just take a look. Underwater, subwoofer and tweeter. What I like, and what a lot of students will actually use, will be voicemail. What does that sound like? Well, let's take a listen.
You're listening to mavradio.fm.
I mean, you can imagine all the possibilities with that. How about the club downstairs is one I really like, because it's going to actually sound like you're above, like on the second floor, and you can hear the club downstairs.
You're listening to mavradio.fm.
So if you have that playing under music, that's really dynamic and cool. Oh, underwater. I've actually used this before. What does it sound like deep underwater? Let's take a listen. Well, we're really deep. Can't even hear it. Let's see if shallow we can hear that.
You're listening to mavradio.fm.
Obviously, that doesn't sound good with the enthusiasm in my voice, but I think you get the picture there. Let's go back up to effects, filter and EQ, and we played around with FFT filter. Let's take a listen to parametric equalizer. So I have my preset there. That's actually the preset I set for my voice. So if I want to, it's easier for me just to do this than to go ahead and go through those few processes that I went through. But this is a really cool area to go to if you want to make it sound like you're on some old-time radio.
You're listening to mavradio.fm.
Yeah, definitely sound like you're, dialing in your old Philco
You're
station
listening to
or Philco radio.
mavradio.fm.
Cool. And then go back to filter and EQ, scientific filter. The one I really like here, let me see. I don't want to apply it yet.
You're listening to mavradio.fm.
Notch wrong. Let's see what this one does.
You're listening to mavradio.fm.
And finally, effects, filter and EQ. And was I on parametric equalizer? We did that one already. Come on, Joe, get it together. Yes, notch filter. This one has some really cool effects. I was working on one of my pieces for the Telltale Heart, and I couldn't find an effect that I wanted. Believe it or not, out of the hundreds of thousands of effects in FirstCom, couldn't find one I wanted. And so I created quite a few of my own, and one that I was just totally in love with came from this effect. Not necessarily weaponized dissonance, but there's another one called Eye of the Storm. Really cool effect. Check this out though, how cool this is.
You're listening to mavradio.fm.
I mean, imagine you're doing a story and you're talking to somebody on the other side, that might be what they sound like. I think that's pretty interesting for sure. And it really will take your audience there. Ice cream truck. I don't know, what's this one do? I don't even know. I don't know.
You're listening to mavradio.fm.
Pretty cool.
You're listening to mavradio.fm.
another thing I want to show everybody, so those are some really cool advanced techniques that you can get into. But let's say I'm going to go ahead and apply one of those. So filter EQ, right? FFT filter. And I want to voice receiver, apply.
You're listening to MavRadio.fm. You're listening to MavRadio.fm.
Oh man, I love it. That's great. And then I decide, wait a minute, I want to take it off that piece. What do I do? And you're struggling, Control Z, maybe you went back too far, or you can always go down here to your history and you can remove it from there.
You're listening to Mav.
So click on it and hit delete. Are you sure you want to undo it? Yeah, I am.
You're listening to MavRadio.fm.
That little tip can save you a few hours of research. Trust me. Ask me how I know. Anyway, those are some really great, like literally tips of all this wealth of technology that you can use for your production. So what I encourage you to do is really get into the system, play around with it, have a plan, because otherwise you can get lost. And sometimes that's not a bad thing either, to just get lost in this technology, and repetition. Repetition is key. Again, just a few things that I wanted to touch on, and I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have, because to be able to create sound and to create the theater of the mind, bring somebody into a story only with hearing is, to me, almost magical. So I hope you enjoyed this. More to come. Take care.